Welcome again to Mommy G's channel, and today I'll be addressing myself to the young men. Much has been said about violence against women, and parents, especially mothers, have been accused of focusing on the girls and advising them on how to protect themselves. We're not talking enough to the boys on how to be gentlemen and to treat women rightly. So today, I want to talk a little bit about men and violence, especially the young men, because they grow up. If they grow up with this violent attitude, when they get married, they will obviously be violent, with their wives. And this goes especially also to the young married men. This idea that men are born violent, to me, I think it's a myth. It is just a socially constructed idea or concept, or it is just socially acceptable that men should be violent or that men are violent. I don't think so. I think violence is a choice. You can decide not to be violent. Okay? And many reasons are given why to justify why men beat their wives or their girlfriends or their fiancés. And for some, they say that the woman nags, the woman abuses the man verbally, the woman maybe is lazy, she doesn't cook well, she doesn't take good care of the home, and so on and so forth. Those are legitimate concerns, of course. But the question is, should they lead to violence? Should you, the man, fall on your wife and start beating her because of these lapses in her behavior, so to say? Now let's look at it the other way around. There are many men with very negative behavior, way of acting. So are we saying that if the woman or the girl or the fiancé is physically stronger than the man, she should then, or will it be acceptable for her to beat the man? We are told there are cases where women beat the men, of course, but then the society sees this as a taboo and everybody, will condemn. But with the men, there's some sort of, acceptance of their behavior, which is not correct. So there are different ways or non-violent ways of solving problems. You must not beat the woman because she has one fault or the other. And sometimes this anger that culminates into beating is just transferred aggression due to pressure from work, pressure, financial stress, so to say, and pressure from other family issues, extended family, your parents, your siblings, your uncles and aunts. You might have family issues that put you under pressure. You might have other social issues with your friends, with your side chicks, so to say, that gets you frustrated. And since the woman is, or your wife or your girlfriend is the person who's always near you, you sort of vent out this anger on her at the slightest provocation from her. You just blow up and you start beating or start fighting and so on and so forth. So let's not always blame the women for provoking the man or for leading the man into anger. Even though I know there are some women, whose mouth, cannot be tolerated to a certain extent. So woman, you want to talk one, they don't talk five. This case of this man who said, who was buttoned by the wife, and the man said, from the count of 1 to 5, lift my shirt. The woman said, and when the man said 1, the woman said 4, 5. Do what you want to do. What can you do? What can you do? What can you do? Useless man, stupid man, you cannot do anything and things like that. So women too, should be more responsible, more respectful, and so on and so forth. But the point I am making here is that the man should learn to control his anger, no matter how difficult it is. Try to control it, because there's no point, as I always say, in getting married. Marriage is supposed to make you happier than when you are single. So if you are married and you are fighting all the time, beating your wife all the time, it defeats the purpose. So try to solve your problems, in a more mature way. If you are dating and you are engaged, means that you are mature enough to get married. So you should behave like the mature man you are. Likewise, the girl. And just imagine that for the men. Just imagine that your father is beating, or somebody beating your mother all the time, beating your sister all the time. In fact, I know of boys who go into a rage when they hear that their sister is being beaten by another man, either their husbands or their fiancés or their boyfriends. They go and retaliate. And then imagine that if you had a daughter and she's being beaten, so often by another man, what will you do? So it's the same thing with your wife or your girlfriend or your fiancé, So she has, parents, she has brothers, who feel very, very bad at the fact that she's being molested, she's being physically abused, all the time. Once her male relatives to come and retaliate with you. In fact, I came across this story on social media, where in one tradition in Nigeria, as a part of bride price, there is an amount of money which is meant for hiring the youth of the community to come and beat you up in case you beat their daughter. So you are already paying money, for you to be beaten by some other men if you beat your wife. To me, I even applaud that kind of tradition, because that would, reduce the rate of wife battery. She have a taste of your own medicine. If you think that your wife is so weak, she cannot fight you, she cannot beat you, let men who are stronger than you, come and meet you for the two of you to tango, and you see who the stronger will be. So in any case, violence, should not be encouraged in any way. So therefore, the young men, should break this cycle. I say break the cycle because it seems to be a cyclical kind of attitude from the father to the son to the grandson, right down generations. We are talking of the 21st century, and young men who have experienced, or who have witnessed this kind of negative and worrisome behavior. Some hate their parents for beating their mothers, hate their brother-in-laws for beating their sisters, and yet they fall in the same trap, doing the same thing over and over and over. So for you young men, try to break the cycle of violence against women, and the world will be a better place. Marriage will be an enjoyable experience, so to say. Thank you for listening. If you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe and share, and let's have your comments, and let's learn from one another. This has been Mommy G. Hope you will watch my next video. Bye.